You're watching Leafs Morning Take with host Nick Alberga and former NHLer Jay Rosehill. The show starts now.
All right, what's good? It's the Friday edition here of Leafs Morning Take. Nick Alberga and Jay Rosehill presented by Betano. And I won't lie, usually on Fridays are like a chill, subdued show, but it's anything but today, Rosie, for a variety of reasons. How are you?
Not bad. Driving a coffee in me, ready to shovel the driveway for the second day in a row. And one of those days where you wake up and you're like, oh, things are good. And then you remember what happened last night, even though you weren't buckled. And then you get kind of a gross little feeling in your stomach.
So there's a good and a bad feeling for me right now. Shohei Ohtani watch is officially on here in Toronto. This could be the day that we find out. Like, this could make or break my weekend. It can make or break my niece's birthday on Saturday. It can make or break the rest of my 30s, quite frankly.
Could make or break the next half a decade of baseball in Toronto, man. I mean, that would be just a massive, massive get. I mean, boy, that would blow the top off that place. I'd be like coming in to watch Jays games and stuff. I mean, why not? That guy's that good.
Yeah, so we look forward to that. We also look forward to finding out the extent of Joseph Woll's injury. For some reason, it seems to have that feeling of like somebody dying. Like last time I checked, he's going to come back. It just shows you that people have absolutely zero belief in Ilya Samsonov. And again, we've had this conversation throughout this season. But also Martin Jones, I think, deserves a lot of credit. We're going to talk about him over the next 20 minutes for sure. But talk Leafs fans off the ledge. It's a rough feeling today. And luckily, a lot of those Leafs fans are Jays fans.
Yeah, maybe they'll get overshadowed with some good news. But, you know, I don't know. People are going to say, oh, it's a small sample size. Come on, relax. But that's my point with this thing. The small sample size, the amount of time he's had to impress and the amount of things he's done in that time is why I feel it's such a loss, is why it's devastating, because this guy's trajectory was so steep and he'd accomplished so many things. And I mean, people, we're close to it. We dissect it every day. People are going to say, well, what the hell did you do? Do you win your Stanley Cup? It's like, hey, relax, dude. I'm talking about a young kid coming to the playoffs last year, huge expectations, check mark. Coming in ready to go for camp, you know, could have a little bit of a slump or a little bit of reality sits in, check mark. He handles that, comes in time and time again, just keeps getting better. I mean, some of those stops that he had last night in particular were world beaters, man. Like, highlight reel, save the game, you bail the guys out. And I mean, when you have an offense like ours, maybe some defensive holes, and then a goalie playing like that, though, that's the shit that gets you into another round of playoffs and steals games in the playoffs. And I mean, the sun was so bright for him, and it's not that it's not anymore, but it's like, God, we just, of course, get it snatched away right when he's shining brightest and taking that another step. It sucks, but it's like I said last night, I think maybe it's the right time in the season for it to happen. If it's going to happen, it just sucks though, man. I mean, there's no other way to spin it.
I'm glad you brought that up. Make sure to go check out our YouTube page at the Leafs Nation 401. We thought the story was big enough where we had to do an immediate reaction video, which we did last night. So it was an instant reaction, like an hour after the game ended in Kanata, and we responded and talked about the Joseph Woll injury, what it means for Martin Jones moving forward. So make sure you go check that out. But, you know, I think if there's a time for somebody to get hurt, I mean, there never is. I'm actually staying relatively optimistic. Like, I rather it happen now. I'm right there with you. It's so unfortunate because to me, that's the big story of last night's game, is the fact that they win and they didn't play well. And Joseph Woll was incredible. Like, how many odd man rushes do you want to give the opposition? That's my question. The terrible line changes, the breakaway saves. Like, this guy was insanely good on Thursday night. And it's just, maybe it's karma for the whole John Klingberg situation, man. That's all I can think of right now.
Yeah, I don't know. It kind of overshadows some piss poor defensive play, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But you know, at least it's something good to talk about. At least it's not in the back of your net every single time, and you got a guy capable of keeping you in a game, obviously, which is what these guys have needed. And it came from within, which is fantastic. And, you know, go down the line for 25 years if you want and see, you know, who the goaltenders have been and who's stepped up to expectations, who's been the world beater. There's not a lot of them. It's a tough market to play, especially that position. And it just seemed like this kid's kind of built for it. He's been prepping for it. Every little thing I hear about his background and his development and his little stepping stones along the way have just been nothing short of fantastic. And he's continued to do that in the NHL in that short sample size, which is even more impressive. So yeah, it's a hit to us. I lean my focus to Samsonov and to Elson to see, what's it going to be the next 20 games? Like, we're hanging on in the wild card spot, as it is in and around there. Are we going to go 500 or can we go 750? With these guys, what's Sammy going to do? Is he going to step up, or is he going to continue to struggle? It's all yet to be seen, but not the position you want to be in right now. Also not the end of the world. So you got to kind of keep things in perspective, say this shit happens. It's not like this happened in early April. Temper your expectations, but man, he was on fire there last night, and he's played fantastic, and he's going to be out for a considerable amount of time is my best guess.
My notes were funny last night. It was like Woll robs Tarasenko. Woll robs Tarasenko. Woll robs Matthew Joseph on a breakaway. Woll robs Josh Norris. Like, it just kept going and going. And I'm like, here we go. And the worst part about it, they go to TV break right when Woll goes down. Like, hey, we back here from Kanata. And it's like, how? Like, I need that camera focused, absolutely focused on Joseph Woll until he leaves the ice. Then they come back. Of course, you got Revo there helping him to the bench. Can't put any weight on his left leg. And it's like, man, this is just so typical Toronto. But again, if there's an injury to happen, I rather it now. And again, last time I checked, I brought this up like a month ago. Guy Boucher is supposed to be the best defensive wizard of his time, was he not? Like, he's known for the trap back in the day with the Tampa Bay Lightning. Where is this guy? I mean, they want him to be the next head coach, right? So it's your time to shine. Let's play some trap hockey. Let's win some 2-1 hockey games.
Well, they're certainly not playing the trap, and I don't
No.
really know what they're playing. Like
the opposite of the trap. That's like fire
like
wagon beer league hockey.
Yeah, I mean, like a left wing lock is a good way to try to not get broken down in the neutral zone. Those odd man rushes, it's supposed to wedge a team into a certain side of the ice where you're protecting it. And I don't know what they're playing, but it seems like a free for all. It seems like it's 100% offense first, and it's just like, hopefully we don't turn the puck over here, because there's no one paying attention to the puck going south. Everyone's going north, and it's just a offensive mentality where, I mean, you got to clean it up, man. And whether the guys aren't capable of doing it, I don't know if I believe that. I think any team at the NHL level can play a structurally sound defensive game, and I just think they're too heavily tilted towards the offense. And on the bright side, you look at the defensemen. I mean, 5 points amongst 3 guys. Brody and McCabe chipping in with 2 apples each. Those are nice things to happen. But every time we talk about this team and doing well and where we want to see it shored up, it's just constantly like, yeah, offensively we can get hot, no doubt. There's some firepower, but we're just letting way too many odd man rushes, way too many chances against, way too many blunders, way too many hiccups, way too many turnovers. And it's just like, fuck, man, like, when are you going to learn that you'd be at the top of the league if you cleaned that up? And I wonder how much attention they're paying to that. And they're, like you say, Guy Boucher, is he allowed to like implement a system of defensive coverage or not? Like, I'm not sure what they're playing.
It's still weird to me to see the Leafs like goaling the opposition. And quite frankly, it's been fun to watch as a Leafs fan to see Joseph Woll play the way he has the last little while. So in mere moments, we'll jump back into that game. I know you wanted to touch on something that happened actually in Luke Schenn's game. So we got Luke Schenn coming up in about 15 minutes. We actually spent about 20 minutes with Schenner the other night, teeing up his revenge game, his second return to Scotiabank Arena. So that's coming up in about 15 minutes from now. But you wanted to tackle something that happened late in Schenner's game last night. The Nashville Predators at home to the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Yeah, it's Austin Watson, like, just recklessly at the end of the game, at the buzzer's going, it's 5-1. He's just mad. Takes an absolute, like, as big of a clapper as you can take, like he's doing the hardest shot competition, and just nails, who's that?
Jeremy Lauzon. Yeah.
Lauzon.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing, man? Like, I understand getting mad and clapping it down to like wrapping the glass and shit, and the guys do that at the end of the game all the time, but you clap it right down the dead center of the ice, right at a guy, And then he's like, "Oh man, I went over to see if he was okay." And like, I don't give a shit if you did that. Why? Where was your head at? Like, explain. Like, look at, boom, cock straight. The guy is closer to him than the red line, and he's standing on the blue line, and he absolutely wires it. And I mean, there's a reason I'd rather fight 3 times in a game than block 100 shots, because I mean, you get that clapper right in the ankle, like where your shin pad meets your laces, in between there. Your foot swells up like crazy. You get it right above your shin pad, in between your hockey pants. That thing blows your knee up and you're swollen and limping for like, it's never good to take those clappers. They rarely hit where they're supposed to. And this is such an unnecessary thing. Like, what's his excuse? Oh, I didn't mean to hit him. Were you trying to go 6 inches wide of him? Like, that's just fucking reckless anyways. You're going to tell me you're trying to just clap that in the corner away from everyone? You're in the NHL, buddy. You're telling me you missed that shot by 15 feet? It's completely reckless and stupid. And you go back and look at his history, and he's known to do some pretty stupid things on his own already. Like, I just need an explanation from, like, what the hell are you doing? I would have jumped that guy and fed him his goddamn lunch as hard as I could, saying, "You're out of your mind." Like, that's just like, not like, "Oh, you snowed our goalie. Oh, you were reckless with our D-man going back for a puck." You just took a clapper and wired it at a guy trying to hurt him with 0 seconds left in a 5-1 game. I would love to see an explanation. I heard some about him going over to see if he was all right, but that's wildly stupid.
I know it's hypothetical, but all I could think about when watching that clip over and over again as I laid in bed last night was, what would the Leafs do? Everything goes back to the Leafs. Like, I was laughing last night. I think it was Ridley Gregg, who's like a 2-year player in the league. Snow Joseph Woll. We'll give him the complete stare down. I think somebody, "Don't do that, buddy. Don't do that. Stop it. Don't snow our goalie." But I could only wonder, like, I think it was a decent response by the Nashville Predators. I think sometimes you want to give players the benefit of the doubt. Watson played for the Nashville Predators, but man, again, you don't want to accuse anybody of anything, but watching that clip, like, I think he meant to do that. And maybe we don't know the extent of it. Maybe it was a long game. Maybe it was, battling back and forth with Lozon, but ultimately I'm like, what would the Leafs do in that scenario?
Yeah, I don't know. Probably a similar thing depending on who's on the ice.
Hey, you want to play Fortnite after the game?
Yeah, maybe. I wish. I just watch some teams out there and the way they play with that snarl and "do not screw with us" type of attitude, and I wish we had more of it, but we don't right now. But yeah, I know. Like, at first I was trying to give him the benefit of the doubt too, going, well, he's just mad. He's trying to wire it in the corner and didn't. And then I'm like, he's so close to him. He does not try to put it in the corner. He hits it cock straight right down the dots where the D-man's standing. He's not like way down there. It was just ridiculous. I remember Pronger doing that in the playoffs at some point in time, and it was totally a message sent. "See you next game." Like, F you guys. I can't see how it could be anything but that on this one. And to hammer the guy and drop him, like, it's as disrespectful and reckless as it gets, man. I want to hear this guy's. I'm really curious to hear his explanation for what the hell was going through his head.
I love this comment from Atomic Leaf. Tavares would have given him the skunk eye. That's about it. That's the Tavares special. The skunk eye, then you look down like nothing happened. I'm ripping these guys too much. They got a regulation victory. We're feeling good, even though Joseph Woll went down. So we're going to jump into that. But if you're looking for a gift idea this holiday season, you're in luck. How about some Nation gear? Order by December 10th to receive your Nation gear before the holidays. Visit nationgear.ca to check out our latest collections. Nationgear.ca. At the Leafs Nation 401, where you can subscribe on YouTube. Again, go back and check out our instant reaction to the Joseph Woll injury on Thursday night. Leafs Morning Take, wherever you find your podcasts, as well as we roll into the appetizer brought to you by DoorDash. For a limited time, our listeners can get 25% off, up to $10 in value, and 0 delivery fees on their first order of $15 or more. When you download the DoorDash app, enter code NATION25. That's code NATION25. Uppercase for your first order with DoorDash. Offer valid in Canada, subject to change. Terms apply. So I don't want to bury the lead because, again, Joseph Woll is the big story, man. But kumbaya, they won a regulation game for the first time since November 17th. I actually crunched the numbers. That was their first regulation victory in North America because the last one happened in Sweden in 26 days. It was long overdue, but Rosie, they tried really, really hard to blow it late, didn't they?
Yeah, I mean, they get that 2-goal lead a couple of times. It's always nice to get that little cushion.
Same shit with this team. Every
They
time.
seem to like to make it tight. Claude Giroux comes in, gets
There's a
it
point.
close.
We called it.
Yeah, well, you did for sure. Well, I guess we kind of both did, but yeah,
Yeah.
we knew that was. I had money on G to score. He did late.
Every time.
I don't know. I mean, just take the good. Just take the good when it comes. Regulation win. If they don't get that second go ahead goal when the Sens are pressing on them to tie it up, they don't pull this off in regulation, and they did what they needed to do to win, and they got it done. So I'm just going to focus on that, man.
Okay.
They sure have had a lot of tight games. If you're betting on Betano and you get that tie, that's always in the plus like 300s pushing it, man. You could have made some money in the last month, but they pulled it off. So let's be positive.
Aren't you process guy though?
Am I a process guy?
You're
Yeah,
process guy, dude. I don't know. I
They're in
think
the
a lot.
process of not losing, or they're not going to overtime and winning in regulation,
Yeah.
and that's part of the process.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, they got the win. That's great. Bravo to them. But the thing, like, how many games are you going to need your goalie to steal the spotlight? Because this has been like 5 or 6 in a row where the goaltending's been really good, namely Joseph Woll, and that's why people are a bit nervous now with Joseph Woll going down. There's a lot of concerns for me, man. Like, it's great that Nylander scores. It's great that Marner scores. Austin Matthews' game, dude, I don't know where it's at right now, but this ain't the guy that they paid a bajillion dollars to. Like, defensively, like, if you want to get paid that money, and again, I'm very careful when ripping Austin Matthews because I think he's an elite talent. He, on a hand, you can count how good this guy is. Top 5 player in the league, bar none. But he's been a ghost lately, man. You got to call a spade a spade. Defensively, he's scaring the shit out of me. Go watch that game last night. It was comparable to like watching me play beer league hockey. Like the 4-3 goal from G shouldn't have happened. Like the turnovers, the pizzas up the middle, like it's some scary stuff right now. And like we're a month removed from Halloween, man.
I know it's very loose, man. It's very loosey goosey.
Yeah.
There's no, I mean, to turn a puck over in that league, it's like nothing I have seen before. It goes the other way so fast. The transition is so quick. The teams jump on those loose pucks when you're being careless with them, and it goes the other way so damn quick. And it's like the Leafs don't respect that, and they don't get worried or disgusted when they turn it over and it goes the other way. And it's like there's no before, like, I don't know why they don't care. Like,
Man,
obviously Keefe isn't chewing them a new asshole when they.
did you see Nylander's interview, I believe, with Claire Hanna after the game?
No, I don't think it was on that feed.
It was like, he joked about it. And I was looking at my screen. He's like, I had a very costly turnover right before I scored. And he like laughed about it. I'm like, oh my God, man, these guys aren't learning. Like, I know it's insane to like, microanalyze game 24, whatever it was this season, but like, are these guys truly learning? Like, if you're laughing at shit like that on national TV, man, it's like, man, they're going to get a rude awakening in the springtime.
It kind of goes back to the coaching thing I was talking about probably earlier this week. I'm like, what's the mentality? Like, what message are you sending to the room? Like, it seems like they kind of rule the roost around there. They have tons of confidence in themselves. They don't get down on themselves really enough when things aren't going well. Like, it's just kind of like, I'm unreal no matter what I do out there. And that interview you're talking about sounds like it speaks to just that. Like, like almost gave the game away, but oh well, at least we squeaked one out. And it's like, if Joseph Woll wasn't playing that way for the amount of time that he was playing, like that could have been a 4-2, in the third period, chasing the game like crazy. And it wasn't that way simply because of the way he stood out there and made those massive saves on chances that are otherwise goals 90% of the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, what's the mentality in that room? Do you get your ass chewed out for making those turnovers? I remember it was so unacceptable to turn the puck over when we have possession in that league because it's so costly. And it's doesn't seem to be mentioned, doesn't seem to be a high priority, doesn't seem to be something guys fear or do everything to avoid. And like you say, when you notice Austin Matthews out there, he's capable of being a ghost. He's capable of going away. It's possible where you only see, his jersey. The only thing you see him do for an entire period or 2 or 3 is turn the puck over and watch the puck go the other way. And I mean, when you go back to the playoff losses that this team's been in the last few years, that's exactly what's going on. It's like, where is this guy? Like, he's nowhere. And it's him and Marner kind of just kind of trying to do some things on the outside, hoping that the game opens up to them, and turnovers, and oh gosh, I got to kind of back check again. It's like, Jesus, dude, like I wish there was some of that urgency and some of that FU when the game's not easy to them. But I don't know, man. Yeah, it's concerning. It is definitely concerning.
Again, I don't want to be that doom and gloom guy. I know in my career in broadcasting, I've been labeled as that guy who's like never going to be happy. That's not the case. Okay. They won the game. I just think it's important to stress when you see shit like that from like a star player. Like even Nylander thought was better last night, but I think he's been a passenger for 5, 6, 7 games now. Marner's been MIA, but he scores the big time goal yesterday. He's got 4 in the last 3. But there were some positives. Like, again, aside from Joseph Woll and that whole story, the bottom 6 chips in. David Camp scores a goal. I thought the third line was fantastic. That tic-tac-toe play. Like, there's a lot of positives to build off. But again, you need your key players to drive the engine. And I know it's an 82-game slate. You're not going to have it every game, but it concerns me that we're at the quarter point of the season and we really haven't seen these guys play as a one cohesive unit. Like, it really does.
Yeah, I know. I want to see that like 60-minute game where you shut the door.
You're like, wow.
Play very disciplined, bury your chances, protect your goaltender, and just like, wow, that was a clinic. We haven't had that. It's kind of been this track meet, loop and shoot, and hopefully we outscore them. And huge chance against. Odd man rush. Marner buries that one. Willie walked a couple guys. It's like, yeah, that's fun to watch and that's exciting, but it's not sustainable going into the playoffs. And like you say, it's, we're looking at Christmas here creeping up, and we haven't seen those guys play a 60-minute solid shut the door game. No one's beating us tonight type of game. It's always like, see what happens, loop and shoot, stringing along, and hopefully when the dust settles, you did enough offensive to cover your defensive woes. It's like, fuck, man, that's not good enough. That's not what we need. That's not how you're going to win a series. And I just can't help but feel like that's not being preached in that locker room.
Yeah, it's a scary situation again, but we're not even at Christmas yet. So I'm going to just take a step back, let this breathe a bit. Somebody asked in the chat too, it's 11 of 23 games that have gone to extra time for this team. They've played 8 consecutive 1-goal games. That's got to be very taxing on the team, but I thought they stepped up. Won't lie, like Benoit takes that penalty. I'm like, they're going to blow this and I'm going to win my money and we're going to go to OT, because obviously you have to bet on Leafs games going to OT, but they found a way to shut the door. And again, kudos to Martin Jones. That's a tough spot to come into. Never mind making your team debut. And I thought he shut the door. The G goal shouldn't have happened. They should have got the puck out. They make some plays sometimes and you're like, man, like, what are you doing? Like, again, it's easy for me to analyze watching from my beautiful couch. It's another, and I understand the stress of being a player and the pressure and fatigue sets in and you just can't make a play and your mind's all scrambly. But there was a couple instances last night where I'm like, holy crap. There was one with Matthew Nyes, but then he atoned for that. But that's going to be a young mistake that players make and stuff like that. But there's a lot to clean up, right, as we roll on here, right?
There is, yeah. There's parts they need to clean up, and everyone does. We analyze. Sometimes you'd say we overanalyze, but you got to watch. The goals we score. The other teams are having brain dead plays and blunders and bad changes and defensive breakdowns and giveaways, and we capitalize on them too. It's part of the game, but our expectations are pretty high, and we analyze it thoroughly. So we're expecting. At this point in this team's juncture where they're at and where they expect to go, we expect some pretty high end play and some pretty disciplined play. And, we haven't been getting it consistently, and, it's okay to point that out, I think.
Wendy's is letting you win real food with your fantasy teams this year with the Wendy's Daily Face-Off Survivor Pool. Sign up to play the Daily Face-Off Survivor Pool to win weekly prizes like the new chicken strips and French toast sticks from Wendy's and the Wendy's app. Head on over to dailyfaceoffsurvivor.com to play today. That's dailyfaceoffsurvivor.com to play. And again, we're about 5 minutes or so from the Luke Schenn interview, but we got to preview the game first, right? Coming up Saturday night, Ryan O'Reilly returns. Heard the interview yesterday. Go back to check that out at the Leafs Nation 401. The Ryan O'Reilly interview from Thursday. And then we doubled up with some Luke Schenn and the second meeting of the season. I'm sure you remember this game back on October 28th. The Leafs puked all over themselves in Nashville. They barely showed up for that game, lost 3-2. I want to see a response. And last thing, and ask you this question, and I think there's one simple answer. It's Martin Jones who starts Saturday night, right?
Oh.
Well, I don't know. Like Ilya Samsonov,
He
has
hasn't
the
even
flu of the
practiced.
century. Like he even back up last night. I don't think there's any scenario where you throw Sammy in there tomorrow.
Yeah, no, I mean, he hasn't. Well, he had practiced but left early.
It's Martin
I think
Jones.
yeah, I think you might as well. You go with him and try to get him into the NHL game speed. He went in and got a little taste, cold as hell, not exactly ideal for him, and performed the whatever 8-10 shots that he got. Yeah, you probably go with him. Give Sammy another day to get ready, and then
And they got 3 and 4. They got Nashville Saturday, then the 2 games in New York, Islanders and Rangers. So
yes. So I think at that point in time, when you get to the island and get to New York, you try to have Sammy ready to go and say, like, you got to think this is Sammy's time to take the crease, and we're
I
going to
would
ride
hope, Rosie.
Sammy as hard as we can. Have him step up. He's going to be our guy, and hopefully that yin and yang that we always wanted with these 2 starting goaltenders. Now we need Sammy to be the number 1 guy, and we'll kind of rely on Elliott when Sammy needs a break, or I just hope that he doesn't
Jones,
struggle. Like my nightmare is them to go to New York, get him in there. I don't know what's his level of energy, what's his body feeling like. I mean, having the flu, you're usually dehydrated and stuff, but the resources available to them, I think you should be able to snap out of it with every last supplement and nutrient and IV bags and all the rest of it. Should be ready to go. My fear is just like get him in there. He doesn't have his timing. He doesn't have his angles. He doesn't have his energy. He's not feeling it. He gets lit up. He gets pulled. And then it's like, who the hell is the starting goalie for the Maple Leafs? That's kind of my worry, but I've had faith in Sammy from the get-go, and I'm hoping that he's ready to rock and that he's going, okay, enough pissing around. I don't have Woll nipping at my ankles anymore. It's my crease. I got to go out and take it, and he's done it before. I hope he's ready to do it again.
And again, this is why they brought in Martin Jones. Like we talked about
I keep calling him Elliott for crying out loud. Jesus.
Pardon me?
I called him Elliott like twice.
I know.
I don't know why.
It's been your thing. It's because we did that whole thing in the offseason about Brian Elliott being linked to the Leafs, and obviously Martin Jones is the guy who signs. But this is why they picked up Martin Jones for situations like this. It's such a volatile position. Somebody was going to get banged up. Somebody was going to play like crap. It's happened here in the form of Joseph Woll going down. So it's next man up. I'm just curious to see how this team responds, man, because oftentimes in recent memory, there's been a sag. They found a way, although, again, they almost blew that game, but a big-time goal to make it 4-2 for Willie. And maybe they can grow with this, and maybe this locks them in a bit more defensively. But there was a lot of concern for me watching that game where it's like if Woll's not playing, it's probably 6-1 Ottawa.
Yeah, that's the thing. They can't rely on that all the time. Any team that does rely on that gets smacked around a lot. And if you have really good goaltending, it's pretty important to still play really well in front of him and be defensive juggernauts and make sure you protect that side of the ice first. And then you can really, that's how you go deep in the playoffs. It's just teams get frustrated. They can't score on you when they finally do penetrate your defense and get those chances. The goalie's there to shut the door, and you just create frustration, and guys start leaving the playbook, trying to do things on their own, trying to, force things. And it's just a recipe for frustration for the opposition. So I really want to see them do that, but constantly, I just don't know if they have the back end to even do that, and to not give up those big chances every night. And when, say the D are playing good, it just seems like you're just leaving them out to dry half the time with some of the turnovers from the forwards, being too offensive minded and being too risky with the puck. So in my mind, if I was Sheldon Keefe right now, I would be leaning on Guy Boucher. I would be doing tons of video. I would be explaining to the guys how unacceptable it is in this league to play that offensive puck carelessness hockey. It's not okay. So I hope that's what's being preached, but so far I just don't get the feeling that it is, because it's constant.
I looked it up, by the way. Martin Jones has one career outing against Nashville and made 24 saves. And he better play well, whoever plays in that game, because UC Saros, he's one of the best goaltenders on the planet, and he's the projected starter for the Nashville Predators at Scotiabank Arena on Saturday night. The following interview is brought to you by our friends over at Battlegrounds Axe Throwing. Book your holiday party now and snag exclusive Boxing Day and Break Week rates. To find a location and book your event, go to battlegrounds.com, battlegrounds.com. Why don't you tee up this interview and then send to it, Rosie? Here's your chance, buddy.
Oh, yeah. Leafs morning take. We've got returning Maple Leaf, two-time Maple Leaf. You remember him from his fresh-faced 18-year-old days on the Maple Leafs. He's a Nashville Predator now. He's coming back to get booed. We'll see about that. Luke Schenn, everyone. Leafs Nation, we've got for you a man who needs no introduction. Most people know him as the human eraser, but his family calls him Luke Schenn. Luke, thanks for joining us. How you doing?
Hey, who knows if my family calls me that or not? You never know, Dozer.
Who knows what Jesse's calling you behind the scenes, eh?
Great to be on with you boys. How we doing?
Hey, we're good, man. We wanted to catch up with you. Obviously, you had your second tour around the sun in Toronto. Didn't work out with them for the re-sign. You find yourselves in Nashville right now. We got to ask you, how's the season going down south?
I mean, personally, it was a bit of a tough start. I got injured, right after the first game there, and missed about 7 weeks with a knee injury, and came back. And it's obviously a little bit tricky getting caught up to speed, but we're getting there, and the team's kind of in the mix. I mean, we didn't get off to the greatest start, and we're hanging around games and even had some leads in games, but couldn't close them out and kind of dropping some points. But as of late, the boys have been playing a lot better and kind of climbed their way back in the mix. And it's real tight in our division, and obviously conference fighting for wild card and that sort of thing. So every game is meaningful, but guys are fighting hard, and like I said, we're hanging around right now, which is good, and kind of getting better as we go here with a pretty young group.
Shannon, the most important question I'll ask you in this interview, being a foodie, how's Nashville like for that, for the eats?
It's good. It's good. I mean, coming here, like, even, when I first started 15, 16 years ago, man, oh man, has the city changed. Like, just coming downtown to Broadway, there was not a lot going on. I think there was even one hotel. I remember we stayed at the Hilton right across the street from Bridgestone, and
yeah,
now there's tons of hotels and restaurants. And I mean, you go down there and you go down there on the weekend, you can't even walk on the sidewalk. It's just shoulder to shoulder. It's crazy down here, and it's a hot spot to be, and the food scene's no different. So definitely getting out here and there with some guys and couples off the team, and it's been great so far.
I can imagine you using that Peloton behind you to work off some Desi after some barbecue down there. Hey,
oh yeah, buddy.
I believe it. Hey, we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about after the season last year. Obviously, you got a chance to win a series with the Toronto Maple Leafs, which not a lot of men have done in the last many years. You got that choice and didn't work out. How was the contract negotiations going on? Were you talking mostly to Dubas, or did you let your agent handle things? And was Shanahan involved in this? We're curious about what's going on behind the scenes.
Well, I mean, obviously, things happen right after the year, and you lose out in a tough series to Florida. So you, like every year, and you have your year-end meeting, and yeah, I met with Kyle and his staff, and obviously there's talk about coming back, depending what was going to happen on his situation. And at the end of the day, I mean, this game, we all know it. It's the game we all love, but it's in reality, it's business. So I mean, you're talking to one guy who, thought was going to be in charge, and we all did, and then things change, and then Tree came in and had some good conversations with him too. And at the end of the day, I mean, everyone wanted to make it work, and there's no secret. I was started in Toronto and absolutely loved it there, and got a chance second time around, which was kind of like a dream come true in a way, to get another chance to come back and play there and get the chance to play in playoffs. But in reality, I mean, they're tight against the cap, and business side of things unfortunately kind of came into it. And in saying that, I'm real happy to be in Nashville too. I mean, Nashville is one of those places I've always loved coming to on the road. Probably my favorite city, in the entire league as far as visiting. And good up and coming team here. I got some good solid buddies who I played with in the past, like Ryan McDonough and O'Reilly and Tyson Barrie, and a couple other good guys, and I've known Barry Trotz for a long time. So like I said, Toronto, I loved it there. But like I said, business kind of gets in the way with the salary cap. It was a flat cap, and obviously they got some big boys to take care of there up front. So that's kind of the way things shook out.
I've poisoned Rosie pretty quickly. Did you notice that with the tough questions? Like last year when I interviewed you, you were looking at me like, wow, this guy's coming out gunslinging. But then we interviewed O'Reilly, And like second question, like you do an interview, it's like a buffer zone. The first couple of questions, you smooth the guy over.
Yeah,
Rosie's right into it, man. It's hilarious.
Yeah, I know.
No small talk, no chit chat. We get to the hard hitting questions, but I know they're not hard hitting for you, Luke, because you played yourself right out of Toronto, man. You came there on a budget, played yourself, showed yourself. You were the guy on the back end there, and they just couldn't afford you with their cap situation. So I think Leafs Nation understands, and you're not the bad guy in this interview. You're not.
No.
Nick
Yeah,
is.
I know. I mean, honestly, coming there the second time around, I mean, it was weird coming there. I don't know if there was like mixed reaction and kind of coming back. Obviously, I was there as a really young player, and had some growing pains. To say the least. I had some great times there, and then some times where, things kind of, weren't some adversity, I guess, put it that way. Which at the end of the day, I'm grateful for all the adversity I faced in the NHL. But coming there the second time around, I was actually feeling pretty confident coming in. I know there's a lot of outside opinions, but just kind of what I gone through in my career as far as, being sent down before, to, being out of lineups on other teams and kind of getting bounced around to being at the top, winning. I kind of came in with just, a good mindset and really wanted to enjoy it. And it worked out great. And like I said, I mean, got the chance to win a playoff series there, and which was incredible. I never got the chance to play, playoff hockey in Toronto. So that was something I'll never forget. And like I said, I enjoy every bit of Toronto. And at the end of the day, too, the fan base has always been so good to me. Like I said, even through those ups and downs, always feel appreciated there at the end of the day. And it was a great spot.
Spill the tea. How close were you to re-signing with this team? Like, I would love a behind the scenes look at how things went down. Nash signing a Nash. See, now I'm coming with the hard ones now.
Well, when you come to Nashville for a beer, maybe we can break it down behind the scenes.
Fine.
Jay came and met me for a couple beers at the Bluebird Nashville, so we broke it down a little bit there. But Jay, you understand Nashville, you get it, right?
Well, I think I introduced you to the Bluebird Cafe, did I not?
You did, in fact.
Where's that?
I was living actually right around the corner, renting there in Green Hills, which is off Broadway there. And Jay told me it was the toughest ticket to get in town, and said he was on the waiting list for two months. And he goes, well, I'm going there tomorrow night. And so, if you could meet us, that'd be great. But odds of you getting a ticket aren't great. And showed up there, the next night and said, Jay, let's have a beer. And that's the way it shook out. And then where did you go after? You went and saw who after that? You snuck up, but who'd you go see after that? You went somewhere else, right?
Yeah, that night we went to Vance Joy down at the original Grand Ole Opry. That was pretty wicked. And don't get it wrong, Luke, you were kicking rocks in the parking lot. No one knew who you were at that point. I told them I scrapped McGrattan Center Ice a couple years back, and the doors just opened for you, bud. So enjoy that one. That one's on me. But the Bluebird Cafe.
That's exactly how it shook out. Exactly. At the end of the day, you showed up in town, and I got myself into places I never dreamed of.
Buddy, you are the hookup master. I do know that. I remember when you were playing in Toronto, there was side deals galore. Dealerships were throwing cars at you. It was a nice place to be. But yeah, the differences between playing in a huge market team like Toronto and maybe a little bit more relaxed. What are some of the differences? I know obviously there's some pros and cons to both of them, but what adjustments do you make? What do you notice going from one market to the other?
Well, obviously huge differences. You get off the ice from a morning skate, especially, like a Saturday night game or I guess playoff game in Toronto, and you can't even get to your stall because there's so many media in the room. But it kind of was funny how it worked out at the end. I feel like I knew every media member by, first name, and would always talk to them, not even, sometimes about hockey, but just how's work going? How's your family? And it was kind of almost personal. So that never ever bothered me. I know a lot of guys don't love the, maybe the extra sort of spotlight and scrutiny, I guess, that you'd be under, but I really didn't mind it the first time I was there or the last time. I mean, it just kind of goes with the territory. And here, obviously, I might have done one or two interviews the entire year so far. So Toronto, you get that, in a weekend. So yeah, it's a little bit different, obviously, on that level. And just from, for example, like going to my son's hockey practice, you go to hockey and you're just kind of a hockey dad, and no one really even asks about how the team's doing or the games or the schedule up and coming, where, I did that in Vancouver and Toronto, being in a Canadian market, and it's pretty much polar opposite, where you go there, you're with your son, and, you're kind of just nonstop talking about the team, right? So little bit different on that scale. You know, it's kind of cool to get both perspective and, you know, see both sides of it where it's nonstop, you don't get away. And then here it's like, does anyone even know what's going on? So, but in saying that, you know, no one says anything to you outside the rink, but you show up to the rink and there's, you know, sold out building every single game here. And the building's rocking. And obviously that has a lot to do with, you know, the history of it, but you know, the location of the arena, and people are looking to come down here and see a game and party right when the game ends or before the game. So it's kind of a crazy situation where, you know, people are loving it, but you know, no one's really paying attention outside of it.
I think you
Yeah.
made a great decision, obviously financially, but like that market is incredible. Like, who are you dealing with on a daily basis? Like Chris Mason, Hal Gill, Lindsey Raleigh. Like, that's about it, right? Like, I remember way back when I went to Nashville and I got a media pass, and I walked right up to Shea Weber. Like, good luck trying to walk up to Austin Matthews in Toronto, you know?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I mean, yeah, like the media team, obviously, and it's funny. Like I played with, you know, Chris Mason. We were talking about the other day on the plane. I think I played with him like 2008 or 2009 World Championships in Switzerland. So I played with him. Rosie and I played with Hal in Philly that one
Yeah.
year. So, you know, these are kind of just ex teammates you play with, and then yeah, they got a couple other media members, and yeah, nothing's hard hitting. There's usually a couple numbers on the board after a game, and not like Toronto where it's like, you know, or Vancouver or whatever, where you're kind of always in it. But like I said, that didn't bother me at all. It's just totally different and another side of the spectrum where, you know, I've dealt with that in the past too. You know, you play in markets like Arizona or Tampa a little bit, and then other markets like Toronto and Philly and Vancouver. So kind of seen both sides of it. And you know, one's probably not better than the other. It's just different. That's the best way to explain it. It's just very different.
This is arguably the hardest interview you're going to have to do this season. What do you think Saturday is going to be like? I think we talk about it way too much on this show, but video tributes. Do you think you're worthy of like a second video tribute here? What do you think that return is going to be like?
I don't even know if I got the first one. I don't know. No,
Really?
I have no idea. I have no idea. I couldn't remember. I mean, yeah, video tributes, they're man, oh man.
It's getting ridiculous, right? It's getting a bit ridiculous.
Yeah. I mean, video tributes. I mean, like back in the day, I played in the game where Matt Sundin first returned to Toronto. You know, when he's in Vancouver, and like that's a video tribute you got to see. Or you know, a guy who spent a really long time there, like you know, Curtis Joseph or guys like that. I mean, everyone gets one, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, I was there. It was a short stint the second time around, but it was a really good stint if that makes any sense as far as, you know, being with the team at the best time of year down the stretch, fighting for playoff positioning, and then, you know, playing in the playoffs against Tampa in that first round, second round too, like that. It was just an unbelievable time to play there, and kind of always dreamt of getting the second chance to do it. Not sure if probably didn't think it'd ever become reality, especially you know, the way my career was trending in certain spots. But you know, to get the chance to do it again, it's I loved every bit of it, and like I said, I love the whole fan base and media. Everyone was great to me. So who knows? I'm looking forward to going back though. Always do. So.
Hey, Schenn, in real time, did you have any clue that Ryan O'Reilly was signing in Nashville too?
No. I mean, we talked like he's really close with Braden. You know, obviously playing together in St. Louis for a while there, and then you know, we kind of went our separate ways after the season ended. He obviously hangs out. Well, I think he went back to St. Louis to go pack up and stuff after the year ended in Toronto. Went back there for a bit and had his kids in school. And I went back to Kelowna, and then, you know, we kept in touch a little bit. We actually connected on Tyson Berry's bachelor party. So we chatted there, kind of, you know, lay of the land, see where things were at, and kind of, you know, you talk a little bit, but you don't share too much. Just kind of, you know, business is, you know, usually between you and your agent. Obviously, you discuss certain situations, but we both didn't really know, just because so much was changing, obviously, in you know, Toronto, just with Tree Living coming in there, and obviously some contracts they had to deal with internally with guys, you know, obviously like Austin and other guys like that. So talked about it, but obviously, you know, if you're not going to sign there's certain other options that, you know, I guess would be on your list. So yeah, you talk about certain things, but not really in detail, and no one's showing each other their cards. But yeah, I'm pumped he ended up here, and he's been playing so good for us too. He's just the ultimate pro, great leader. He takes care of everyone around and so good, you know, and gets young guys together with the old guys for dinner, and first guy on the ice for practice, last guy, just what everyone hears, it's exactly what he does. He's a true pro and been around a long time. And yeah, he's been a horse for us this year. We're lucky to have him.
Lukey, you know, coming into the league, you've always been that tough, Sasky boy on the back end, but you know, you had other things going on. You're a puck mover. You've had some power play time. You're a killer, a big minute muncher, and you step up when you have to always. Starting to be now where, like, you know, maybe it's because this league's gotten so goddamn soft, or maybe you just keep becoming more of a human eraser as you get older. But you seem to be the guy that's when push comes to shove and someone needs to step up for their teammates, you're the guy that does it now more often than not. And I mean, I look at your fight with Marcus Foligno the other night, and this guy's clearly done his homework on you. He knows you're a lefty. He knows your guy is going to stand up. He's blocking up a storm like it's the fucking Pride Fighting Championship or something. You still pumped his eyes shut. But is it weird to be kind of in the latter part of your career on the back nine, you could say, and have to step up to that role even more than maybe you did when you were just a young buckaroo?
First of all, I mean, that was the fourth time I fought him, and he's tough. I'm not
that many times, eh?
Yeah, and his brother twice, Nick twice too. I don't know, some of those Foligno boys. No, they're but the thing is, like, they're great guys. Like, every time you fight these guys, like, they're, you know, hey, giving you a wink in the penalty box, ask how you're doing. Like, you can just tell they're unbelievable guys, and obviously mutual connections and stuff like that. But no, I mean, I think it's just like anything else. I mean, probably like you too. I mean, the more you do it, you probably get a little more confident in it. And so sometimes, you know, you get into it and it's, your heart rate almost slows down, if that makes sense. Like, before, you're a little bit nervous and you got adrenaline going into it. That's how I feel anyways. Like, sometimes I'm like, okay, well, you know, now might be a good time in the game to step up here if the team's kind of in one a little bit and we need try to get them a little momentum swing, or if someone gets hit, your adrenaline spikes for a second. But in the midst of it, you know, I feel like I'm always kind of slowing down a little bit and got a little bit more of a, I don't know, strategy or game plan, or a bit more of an idea, I guess, of what to do. And at the end of the day, I mean, I don't claim to be the toughest guy or the most technical guy. I don't really take lessons, or just kind of figure it out as you go in. But
yeah, you're giving me goosebumps just talking about it nonetheless, man. I love what you do out there, human.
Yeah, well, you know what? Hey, in fairness, like, you can switch like no other. I don't got that one under my belt. I mean, I let the cat out of the bag here, but you could switch back and forth. Like, it was insane watching you fight mid-fight, and I'm like, you don't even know what's coming left or right. I mean, most guys are a little more predictable. So yeah, obviously it doesn't happen like that too much anymore, where you got guys who are that good and that technical. But there's some big boys there. You know, obviously there's some bigger boys in the league, like obviously Rebo and McDermott comes to mind, and Deloria and stuff like that. But no, there's some big boys out there. It's not like it once was, but you know, there's still some guys who know what they're doing, and it's still part of the game. No matter what anyone says, I think our team in particular, I think, you know, McCarron's probably gotten 3 or 4 this year. Jeremy Lazon's gotten probably 4. I'm trying to think who else. Like, Kiefer Sherwood's gotten a couple. Like, there's, no matter what, like, there's still a need for it, for sure. And you know, our team, I think, is still backing it up, and you need to, in my opinion. So yeah, it's one of those things that I don't expect it to ever calm down and go away. But yeah, it's nice to get one every once in a while, as you know.
Rosie, I'm surprised you haven't gone on a tangent yet about the Maple Leafs, how they should do more of that and how they're fucking soft as shit. So maybe next time we interview Schenner, we can talk about that.
Yeah, we'll touch on it then. I think he knows full well we don't need to beat a dead horse.
I haven't heard you go off on that in a while. So, I mean, yeah,
I think I might have said something about Mitch Marner is more interested in wondering where he left his Coachella hat this morning on the show. So
hey, I'd put Mitchie on my team all day, every day. That guy's the best. I love him. He's I don't know, he plays, in my opinion, like the right way, PK, PP, and puts up a ton of points. And how many forwards do you see log 23 minutes a night? Like, he does it all. He's and he's an unbelievable guy.
I just want to leave you with this. I know you've been tracking our YouTube progression at the Leafs Nation 401, as you just brought up. Bruce Boudreau actually filled in as my co-host on Friday and Monday, and I tell you, Rosie's job is in jeopardy, man. Big time jeopardy.
Bruce was I love Bruce. He's he came in obviously halfway through the year in a tough situation in Vancouver as far as where the team was at. And he's just like a happy-go-lucky guy at the rink. And I mean, he's just so approachable and easy to talk to. And he'll call you into his office, and you're thinking, you're going to start talking about hockey or whatever. Next thing you know, you're in his office for half an hour just talking about everything else besides your own game. And yeah, he's just I mean, there's a reason why he's been around a long time, and players who play for him got a ton of respect for him. So, I mean, obviously, like I said, it's one of those things. The business is the business side of things, but on a personal note, Bruce is an unbelievable guy, and he helped me out a lot in my career, and gave me a great opportunity. And yeah, I see him do a lot of media these days. He's definitely staying in the mix for sure.
There you have it. Luke Schenn, nearly 20 minutes with Luke Schenn. I love you weren't even looking at the screen. You weren't ready for that, were you?
We're back. Got a little
Hey, did you
caught
see
up.
this Max Domi tweet?
No.
Does he know something we don't know? He's like, let's LFG Blue Jays. This hysteria is insane to me.
I think that just means let's go. Let's hopefully land him.
I don't know. When you're Max Domi, your dad's Ty, he knows some people. It's connected.
We'll see about that. I hope that's true. How do you like that interview?
I thought it was fun. A little disappointed he didn't take my bite on the whole, like, how close were you question. Like, even Ryan O'Reilly sort of answered it, but Chandler wanted no part of it. There's no chance I'm going to Nashville to have a beer with that guy.
Okay. Then you're out.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Maybe one day we'll find out the answer. I don't think we need the answer. I think to me, that was my read, Rosie. Like, it was abundantly clear why he's not a Maple Leafs. He got what was it? 4.5 sheets a year or 3.5? What was the final total?
Something like that, but it just
2.5?
blew. It wasn't. It was probably double what the Leafs could offer him. So they weren't close.
Exactly.
I mean, he played himself right out of Toronto. He played so well that his value was sky high, and they didn't have that in the book. So away she goes. It is what it is.
Yeah, I was reading the tea leaves as to what you were saying in that interview, and it was abundantly clear. He got 3 years, $2.75 million per season. In retrospect, man, I would have paid the guy.
It's kind of looking like we would have really used him at that number 8 about now, hey?
Well, especially, I mean, just again, it's so hard. Hindsight's so hard. But let's say you don't sign Klingberg 4.15. You give Schenner, you probably have to give him 3 because of the whole tax situation in Nashville. He's probably, like, you know what I mean? Like, you probably know more about that, but you probably give him 3. That still leaves you like just over $1 million to like use somewhere else.
What are you going to get for $1 million though? And yeah, I know it's a tough decision. I mean, say he's here and he's not, performing as well as you want. All of a sudden it's like, man, it's hard to know what the future holds, and hindsight's 2020, but I just don't think they had the cap space to get him done.
Well, thanks to Schenner for popping on. Nevertheless, very curious to see if he gets another video tribute. He should get one. Very beloved. Love the guy. Great interview. Classy. And I'm sure he'll get a nice cheer back at Scotiabank Arena. Probably a bigger one than Ryan O'Reilly. I'm curious to see how people respond to O'Reilly. Although it's the wrong market, like, Leafs fans don't care. They're there. It's a Saturday night. It's going to be quiet. Well, it might be a bit louder, especially if the Ohtani news goes down, than normal. But, like, it's not an arena where I would fear as a player to go into. Like, no, I'm going to get booed. Oh, my goodness. In Toronto.
I don't know if they'll even. My Schenner might get some attention, but I don't think he wasn't here long enough to get too much of anything, was he?
Put it this way. Florida Panthers rolled into town like 2 weeks ago. Did Sam Bennett get booed? Like, if guys like that are not getting booed, there's no chance you can boo Ryan O'Reilly for choosing to go elsewhere, man. That's the way I mean, I'm big on that type of shit.
I think most of the people, especially in the lower bowl, won't even know who's playing. So it is what it is.
Very factual. You're bang on as per usual. Let's wrap with this. Brought to you by Betano, the 2023 EGR winner for both the Best Sportsbook Operator of the Year and Best In-Play Sports Operator Awards. The game starts now. I like the Leafs in regulation against Nashville again. I called my shot on Thursday, did I not? I said Leafs in regulation. It was sticking out that neck, and boy, oh boy, they tried to fuck me. But we got the job done. And so I think it was a 4-0 week. We're trying to go 5-0. Give me the Leafs in regulation against the Nashville Predators.
Hoofda. Interesting. I'm gonna have to sit and think on it before I tell you, my guy. I'm third string Kendi, Austin's MIA. We will see. It's a chance I could tell you. I like the positivity. I certainly do. I hope you're right.
Change of pace from yours truly. But yeah, it's been a fun week, Rosie. We've got a lot accomplished. You got 2, 3. I mean, Bruce Boudreau is co-hosting. Show's doing well, I think. The show's doing well.
I hope people enjoy it. And I'll give him another
Hit the
algorithm
fucking like
lesson.
button, man. I'm tired of this shit. Hit the like button.
It's bad when I'm teaching algorithm lessons.
No, you were like talking yesterday. I'm like, what is this guy's like talking algorithms for like 2 minutes?
What is he talking about?
How many videos has Rosie posted on our YouTube page?
I don't know how many was I involved in? All of them.
A lot, like a good 78%, because you're not here sometimes. But I get that.
Oh boy, Brucey.
No, you're good, man. You're the star of the show.
In love with Bruce.
Great stuff.
When you go,
next
when you
week's
go
gonna be
call
busy
Bruce
as well.
and call him Daddy. Go call Bruce. We're done here.
Yeah, we're gonna get Gabby on at some point again. But yeah, Monday's show we got Jason Blake coming on. That should be good. We got the back-to-back against the Islanders and Rangers coming up. And again, a lot of question marks heading into the weekend. We'll get some answers as soon as Saturday here, Rosie.
Yes, sir. Hopefully it's a big weekend for news, and hopefully we get some Woll news. And it turns out, hey, it's not that bad.
Yeah, imagine he just shows up and he plays on Saturday. Very, very doubtful on that front. But thanks to everybody in the chat. Again, hammer that like button. Hit us with a subscription. Again, we're bringing the heat, so return the favor for us. Leafs Morning Take, wherever you find your podcast. And many thanks to producer Aaron. For Jay Rosehill, I'm Nick Alberga. We bid you farewell until Monday. Have a great weekend.
Thank you for watching Leafs Morning Take. Hit that subscribe button and never miss a show. And for more, visit theleafsnation.com. TheLeafsNation.com. If you don't know how to spell the Leafs Nation, you know what I mean? But hey, sometimes you never know.